Hello there, fishy people. Just thought I'd document my second experiment on making a fish tunnel to connect two separate fish tanks. And they are two separate fish tanks of different sizes. So I just thought I'd cover a little bit of the bare minimum of the blueprints, I guess, of what I'm trying to build here. So I initially started out trying to sort of use like some tubing, like plastic tubing that I found in the hardware store to link these two fish tanks up together. And, you know, it worked. They did both get linked up together, and I discovered a couple of interesting things. First off, when I initially linked this one with that one, suddenly all the water started vacuuming into the smaller tank, and I realized that's a water level issue. So actually what you need to do if you want to link these two tanks up is they both need to be at the same level, the water at least, because if they're not, then once you link them both up, they're going to equalize with each other. So one way that I decided on doing that is by creating this little stand over here. So I measured it out, and I need to raise this tank about 5 inches so that it can be at the same level of this other 20-gallon tank. And once that's done, once I'm finished building this, then I will be able to build my second tunnel. So back to the plastic tubing that I used. The plastic tubing was a little bit too small. So while the two tanks were connected, the fish, they kind of got a little curious. They poked their head, but nothing really actually swam back and forth. Only the snails really utilized the tunnel. And I had originally built it specifically for the fish. So then, you know, I scrapped that plan, and now we're here today. What I ended up doing was I went to the hardware store and I picked up a little bit of this plastic sheet right here. And this is just a big plastic sheet that I got. And I used a Dremel rotary tool to just kind of cut them apart. And yeah, I mean, you can see right here the edges are a little bit rough, but I'm planning on using the sander to sand it all down. And I also have some silicone sealant, which I'm planning to use to kind of seal it all up and make it waterproof before I actually utilize it. So it should be pretty sturdy, and based on the amount of water that's going to be in the tunnel itself, which is about maybe 2 gallons worth, the water pressure, it should hold the water pressure just fine based on what the silicone sealant is rated for. So one hiccup that I've just run across right now, as you can see, you're gonna have to kind of use your imagination here, but the idea was originally like, hey, this is supposed to be the top area, and you know, this is like the entrance for one tank, and this is the entrance for the other tank, and then I fill up the top up here with water. How I do that, there's two different ways I was thinking about doing that. The easiest way would be to just dip this entire thing into the larger tank and fill it up, and then maybe put something over here to like cover up the end and just quickly bring it over so that it doesn't so that the water doesn't fall out, or too much of it at least doesn't fall out. That way I can just otherwise, like, I've seen some people use like vacuums and stuff, but I think that's a lot of work when you know, you could just let gravity do the work for you. So anyway, back to this thing. One issue that I came across, I think I made some serious error in my measurements, because as you can see, the idea was to have, like, you know, maybe the two tanks like right here in the middle, and then, you know, this thing across, but it's actually way too big. I don't know what happened. I thought I did all the measurements correctly, but once I cut it and I did a little bit of like a check and see, because you can see, like, this is basically where the leg's gonna go down, and that is way too deep. This is also way too deep. So I think what actually was supposed to happen was, like, maybe I was supposed to build it like this, which is a lot more realistic. I think, yeah, there was definitely a fudging on the measurements. So realistically, and then this is also way too long. So this is too long, this is too tall. So I think maybe something more like this is what I was intending to build. And that looks a little bit more reasonable, but still also pretty long. So I think maybe this first piece, which I thought was going to be the side leg for this, maybe I actually intended it for it to be this right here, and that looks a lot more reasonable. So what I'm gonna end up having to do here is, so I still want the same thickness up top, so what I'm probably gonna end up doing here is taking this sheet and cutting this off, cutting both of these, and then just making the top side. And I can be pretty liberal with the top, and I could probably cut this in half to use it as like the top inch. So the idea is that this is going to be a little bit more, this is going to be long, but it's also going to be pretty narrow. It's going to be about, sideways it's going to be about this long. So like on this side. And the reason for that is because, you know, there's a entrance over here which is not wide enough to allow that whole giant window to flow through, and I think the fish will kind of figure it out anyway. So anyway, that's basically it for the update. Hopefully I finish the stand, but unfortunately it's getting a little dark, so I don't think I want to use like power tools in the dark, so I'll probably pick this up at a later time. But yeah, I probably will also have to retape everything and remeasure all this stuff just to make sure that I actually get it correct this time. And once I do, then you know, hopefully you know, I can get all the pieces together and just glue it all, and it'll be nice and dandy. So until then, hopefully next time I make an update, this whole project will be finished, and the fish will actually be using it this time. Till then, hope you have a nice day.